Okay, Amanda, outside politics and whatever the funny cat video that might be on the internet, the words UFO sighting will get me to click on it immediately.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
That's what makes you click. Okay.
Yeah, so I asked you earlier if you believed in UFOs, and you don't maybe...
I really haven't thought about how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm interested to learn more.
Me too. Joining us now is Dan Bradford. He is a UFO enthusiast, and I had the pleasure to work with him a few years ago over at Salem Media Group. Mm-hmm. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Brian. This is great fun.
This is great, and I always used to have you in the studio and talk shop on this. Now, I'm getting my news feed here. Just a couple of days ago, actually 12 hours ago, CBS 4 in Denver once again reports more mysterious UFO possible sightings, and then the government came out not too long ago. So my question to you, Dan, are we learning more and more that UFOs probably exist out there and it's real?
Well, certainly the Department of Defense is trying to let us kind of ease us into something that's really happening. And now you can't say UFO, well, you can say UFO, but actually they're calling them unidentified aerial phenomena now, because anything can be flying around and you don't know what it is. But yeah, it seems to me that they're definitely easing us into an enlightened stage, because so many things happen and there are so many sightings that really never make it to the TV or never make it to the media that are out there. It's really unbelievable. And, you know, everybody's asking the question, well, why don't they tell us? Mm-hmm. And why don't they?
Well, why don't they? Are they afraid it's going to scare us?
But it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating. I mean, the government thinks that we would all just panic, but it would dawn a new era. That's for sure. It would be the dawn of a new era.
Well, you see video that we had up earlier, and you and I both know pilots. We've talked to pilots. They've said they've seen stuff that can be unexplained. Okay, so, I mean, when you see video like this, Dan, that's up on a screen, and the Navy confirms that these videos are the real deal, why would we not believe that? And I asked Amanda earlier, and I know that the thought of having little green creatures walk around this earth is kind of funny and it's kind of scary, but you've been studying this stuff for a long time. Dan, what are your thoughts on the actual, do you think we have real UFOs in storage that we have gotten over the years?
We almost have to have, there's so much secrecy, it's so shrouded in secrecy that it's almost inevitable that there's something out there that we don't know in terms of what's being stored. You know, they talk about Area 51, that going on there, and those videos that you were looking at were released last year, and it was so fascinating to hear the fighter pilots, you know, trained professionals. I mean, you hear UFO sightings with policemen, military men, recorded where they're actually seeing them. And so there's plenty of evidence out there. So, and even the Roswell incident in 1947, the government they came in, took the whole craft and went, okay, that was just a big weather balloon. And then the radio station in Roswell the next day started reporting on it. And the government called the radio station and said, if you say another word about it, the station loses its license, and it's over for you guys. Right. So the government is very, you know, hush hush about it still. Last Father's Day, this past Father's Day, Donald Trump Jr. did an interview with his father. Now Trump is a skeptic. President Trump's been a skeptic about all of this, but this Father's Day, his son Donald Jr. asked him, you know, can you tell us a little bit about it? He goes, well, I've learned a lot more about it, and there is a lot of stuff going on, but I can't tell you anything. Yeah. So, you know, so it's, and of course, all of the presidents have said, well, you know, I tell you, well, they basically have all said, I can't tell you. Essentially, if you've ever watched Jimmy Kimmel, you know, he's interviewed several presidents and talked about and asked them about what's going on with the UFO technology and such.
Okay, one last final question for you, Dan. What parts of the country are more susceptible to seeing these UFOs? I know the desert Southwest tends to be a hot area, but what about Central Texas here? What about North Texas? Are we hotbed for UFOs?
We are, but it tends to go from at certain times, not all the time. Right now, Canada is a big hotbed up in Manitoba, and they're seeing them quite frequently lately. But you remember we had a few here in Stephenville several years back, but even the government then said, well, let me back up. They flew over Stephenville. They were being chased by F-16s, and the government said, no, that didn't happen. And then there was so much footage of it that the next day the government said, well, we were just doing some maneuvers with F-16s. But yeah, North Texas is a good place to see them. Just go outside and keep looking up. I mean, it's amazing what you'll see.
Yeah, especially with the cell phone technology, we can all go out there and get a picture. Hey, Dan, we appreciate your time.
I always say, you know, whenever I see a UFO, I always say, hey, go get the worst camera we have and let's get a picture of it. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Thank you. That's true.